to a late night edition of the Badger Den. Essentially, we've got missiles, bombs, and death just going back and forth between Israel and Iran. Israel basically loading up their planes, sending them over, bombing the crap out of Iran, and Iran just shooting salvos of missiles as fast as they can reload them, just going back and forth, and that will probably continue till one side either runs out of munitions or the other one destroys the other as much as they can. The other one gives up. So this will probably continue on for a while. Who knows how long? Let's see what we can see. So this is the latest salvo right now from Iran hitting the outskirts of Tehran. This is the latest salvo right now hitting the outskirts of Tel Aviv. Each salvo has well over 100 missiles. Basically, of course, trying to overwhelm. This latest salvo also had drones mixed in with it, again, to try to spread out their defenses. However, despite all of this destruction, Israeli officials said today that their operation against the Iranian regime would end within days as the Israeli Air Force continues to exert dominance over Iranian airspace and take out missile launchers and nuclear facilities. A lot of that has to do with work done by the Mossad, essentially where they probably identified, sabotaged, or destroyed the SAM missile sites to take out surface-to-air missiles to take out aircraft. So that would essentially provide for an opening for Israeli Air Force to go in and just decimate all of Iran. And that's what's essentially is happening. A senior Israeli intelligence official told Fox News, chief foreign correspondent Trey Yingst, I think we can finish it in days. It's a good thing that we have the U.S. by our side. Yingst reported that Iran would like to continuous missile attacks on Israel over the next few days. So Israel obviously thinks they have some sort of idea of how much munitions Iran has. However, who knows how much they've got stockpiled and where they are. But again, Israeli intelligence is some of the best in the world. So it's just who has the most missiles, most munitions to throw back and forth against each other. It's interesting, this comment that we have the U.S. by our side. It's long been assumed that the U.S. somehow had something to do with this. I doubt that. Trump is very much not wanting to get involved. He probably knew about it and why he was pushing Iran to make a deal to help prevent and cut this off. But again, Iran did not want to make the deal. Israel is pushing U.S. to join the fight against Iran, wanting to use our bunker buster bombs and, of course, our aircraft. But the U.S., thankfully, is not considering such move at the moment. Again, it's not our fight. I'm not a Graham looking for war. I'm not a Shapiro who has double allegiances. This is America. This is not our fight. We don't buy oil from Iran. We don't get our oil from the Middle East anymore. Let's stay out of this. We didn't poke the bear. We didn't start this. Let Israel do their thing, destroy the centrifuges, destroy and set back the nuclear armaments of Iran, and let them do their thing. Some good news out of this. Putin called Trump on his birthday, which is hilarious and awesome, saying that Ukraine talks will continue next week, which is fantastic. It would be great to shut that down. I got a feeling some of this comes from the attack where you had Ukraine sending in a lot of, I guess, long-range drones, blowing up several strategic planes that were utilized for dropping bombs and nuclear arsenal, of which, they basically spent, who knows, less than $1 million destroying planes that were worth hundreds of millions. So it took a lot of heat and air out of Russia. So who knows how much that hurt Russia. It definitely hurt them to some extent. Some side, our side is claiming somewhere around 30% of the Ukrainian side. Russia is saying it had little to no effect. Of course, probably somewhere in the middle. What is great about this is given that a lot of the munitions that are being utilized by Iran are purchased from Russia. Putin is expressing his wish to see the war come to an end. So hopefully that is some indication that he probably will not sell any more munitions until Iran agrees to stop all the hubbub Right now, Iran is still holding itself together, even with a lot of damage done to their upper military echelon. I am still expecting that one of the scenarios being that with the factions broken up, you'll see internal strife and civil conflict stem out of this attack from Israel. One thing I wanted to note and did not in my prior stream is this right here is the Strait of Hormuz. This is a critical choke point that Iran essentially controls militarily. It doesn't hurt us. It does hurt Europe some. Europe gets some of its liquid natural gas from here. It gets very little oil from here. So there's not a lot that's going to be hurt from this area if Iran chooses to choke it off and try to hurt the U.S. It will, however, hurt Japan, China, India, where a lot of the oil is still being purchased from Saudi Arabia and Iraq and Kuwait. So it'll be interesting to see what Iran plans to do, given that they've pretty much been hurt and decimated by Israeli Air Force attacks. Got some more sad news today. There was an assassination. Frankly, this was domestic terrorism. You had this individual who killed 2 people and attempted to kill 2 others. He successfully killed Melissa Hortman, who was a moderate Democrat in the House, and he attempted to kill John Hoffman, who is a current sitting state senator. This is very difficult to talk about given how this has played out, and I expect, again, more of these attacks to come. The temperature that the left seems to push, they want this type of disparagement, they want this type of destruction. A lot of mental illness stems out of left-wing politics, a lot of violence out of left-wing politics. This is just the beginning. More of it is being cultured, more of it is being inflamed and pushed. This man himself who shot these individuals, he comes from Tim Walz's own group. He was part of Tim Walz's board of directors within the board of governorship of Tim Walz. Tim Walz knew this man. Tim Walz appointed this man. Tim Walz came out just a week ago screaming about how the left needs to get meaner. Well, this man did. This man had an NGO, nonprofit, that was called the Red Lions, the Red Lion Group, and this group had a mission to pull more people out of Africa and put them into Minnesota. Why? To basically turn Minnesota into a Somali hangout. Who knows? But it's absolutely asinine. This Manson also had flyers in his stolen police car. Hopefully they're going to find out that it indeed was stolen. And in it was the No Kings protest flyers. Why did he have that? Why was he pushing that? We all know the answer. Come on, left. Make it make sense. Justify this. Justify why this has happened and where all this violence is coming from. This is just disgusting. Minnesota authorities announced they will not release the manifesto. I wonder why. Why aren't they going to release this? The same reason for that transgender that came in and shut up that Christian school. Because we all know where the rhetoric is coming from. It's coming from the left. This is purely left-wing dogma that these people are ingesting. They're mentally unstable, and they are following through with what they're wanting to do. Now, the attack itself is disgusting and cowardly. He dressed up as a police officer, had a police SUV, went to their home, and rang the doorbell. And of course, as upstanding citizens, they opened the door and were murdered by this man in a terrorist attack. He then went on to the senator's home and attempted to do the same thing. Thankfully, it looks like the senator and his wife may recover. I pray that they do. Now, the question is, why did he do this? Not only was he deranged as part of the left political ideology that is now turning into, frankly, a domestic terrorism entity. He did it because they did something. They voted with America. legislation came up to stop Minnesota from continuing to supply Medicaid to illegals, and it passed, thankfully, in part to these people that unfortunately bore the brunt of it. In an interview with the woman before she died, please forgive me, I believe it was Hortman. Yes, Hortman here. She was in tears after the vote in an interview because she knew what was going to happen. She put a target on her back. She did the right thing. She knew it was wrong to give illegals funding for Medicaid when we are not taking care of who we should be taking care of, and that's Americans. And she voted with her heart, she voted with her conscience, and she paid with her life for it. This is just the beginning. This man has now laid a pathway that others who are just as deranged as him, heavily indoctrinated in the left. Again, this man was known by Tim Walz. Guys, this is just the beginning. A Schweitzer team investigator reveals how No Kings and his partners have bagged over $114 million from Arabella. So Arabella is a foundation created by Soros, funded by Soros, but not just Soros. It is funded by Soros and his lackeys. Gates is involved in this. Zuckerberg, the lizard man. Weiss. This is just absolutely disgusting. These are billionaires basically plotting out the destruction of America. Soros hates America. He wants to see America suffer. And for some reason, Gates and Zuck are right there with him. This type of rhetoric and this type of insanity has to end. I want to end on a high note. So congrats, Army, for 250 years. This we will defend. I want to leave everybody with some images from today's parade. A lot of good men and women have served. I hope many more good men and women will serve their country and know what the oath is that they are taking to defend this country, both from enemies abroad and domestic. Of course, POTUS and FLOTUS, happy birthday, sir. Good night, guys. See you on Monday.